Welcome to the Private School Leader Podcast, where private school leaders learn how to thrive and not just survive as they serve and lead their schools. I strongly believe that it is possible to have a long and happy and fulfilling career as a private school leader. And my passion is to help you figure out exactly how to do just that, right here on the Private School Leader Podcast. And I'm your host, Mark Minkus. So I'm going to start off today's episode by pretending, and I'm going to pretend that I have a hidden camera in your school, and I can see you when you walk into your school at this time of year. So you walk in, and there's boxes stacked in the hallway. Maybe there's some unopened buckets of wax that are nearby. And, these boxes have new curriculum that are waiting to be unpacked. And as you go to your office, you're thinking about, the employee handbook revisions and the welcome back family email that you need to send. And of course, that last one or two people that you need to hire to complete your staff. And then you're also thinking about or working on planning teacher in-service, and you're thinking about back to school night and class lists and teacher schedules and all the things. And so that's before 9 a.m. on a day, on a day when you are walking into the school. And so this time of year, in the middle of all that, in the middle of all the things that you need to get done before the first day of school, before the first day of teacher in service, in the midst of all of that, you're supposed to stay calm and be optimistic and also be excited about the new school year. And so if that's where you are today, if you're feeling kind of overwhelmed with everything that still needs to be done and the amount of time that's left to do it between today and the first day of school, I want to tell you two things. First of all, you're not alone, because almost every private school leader that I coach feels this way during the last few weeks before school starts. And there are private school leaders all over America, all over the world that are feeling this way right now. And the second thing I want to remind you of is that the goal is not to work harder, it's to work smarter. And so on today's episode of the Private School Leader Podcast, I'm going to give you 3 strategies to feel less overwhelmed and get everything done before the first day of school. And teacher in service is right around the corner. I want to help you with that. You've heard me talking recently about something that's brand new that I've launched recently, and that's called Private School Teacher Academy. And this is something that you could incorporate not just during teacher in service, but also during the PD day in the fall or the PD day in around February. These are 4 on-demand webinars. They're about 50 minutes each. They have guided notes and discussion questions and teacher resources. And real quick, let me tell you the titles of the 4 webinars that are in Private School Teacher Academy. You've got the 5 keys to having your best school year ever. That one works really well during teacher in service. And then the differentiation playbook, helping every student learn without burning yourself out. The 6 habits of an outstanding private school teacher. And also then how to better support students who have mental health struggles. And so those 4 on-demand webinars can be used anytime during the school year. And listen, I know what it's like to try to find high-quality professional development for your teachers, especially for them when they're all in one space. The teachers of the 3-year-olds all the way up to the seniors. It's really hard to do. So I'd like to take care of that for you. You can go to privateschoolleader.com/teacher to check out Private School Teacher Academy. That's theprivateschoolleader.com/teacher. And I think that this can really, really help you with teacher in service and with your PD days this year. And I always like to give you a free gift every episode to say thanks for listening to the podcast. And today I'm choosing this guide that's called The 7 Steps to Having Successful Meetings with Upset Parents. And this is an 11-page PDF that's going to give you a step-by-step plan to have better meetings with the parents at your school. And every good coach has a game plan and every good teacher has a lesson plan, but I think that too many private school leaders just don't have a plan when they sit down to meet with an upset parent. Well, I'm going to give you a plan, and you can grab this free guide at theprivateschoolleader.com/meeting. And again, that's free for you, the 7 steps to having successful meetings with upset parents. Just go to theprivateschoolleader.com/meeting, and you can grab that there for free. So I want to start out by just touching on why I think that this time of year feels so overwhelming. There's some obvious answers to that, and that is what I talked about at the top of the episode. There's a lot to do and not a lot of time left to do it, and that starts to feel stressful and overwhelming. And so a couple of the reasons that I was thinking about is, first of all, there is really a lot to do because I don't know. I never really thought about it this way, but it's like, if you think about it, the start of school is one of the most complex, let's call it a project, one of the most complex projects that you'll manage all year. And here's the reason. There are all different kinds of seasons during the school year, but the first day of school is unique in that everything has the same deadline. So over the course of the school year, you have different seasons and different things, and things are due at different times, or events happen at different times, and you have a runway to be able to plan these things and to do these things. But with the first day of school, every task has the same deadline, and you can't postpone it. It's written in stone, and the kids and the parents are coming whether you're ready or not. And so that is stressful and can sometimes feel overwhelming. And then the second reason that I think this feels a certain way at this time of year is because our brains are terrible at holding dozens, or maybe in this case hundreds, of unfinished tasks, because our brains hate open loops. Our brain is designed to close open loops. If you're hungry, your body wants you to eat. If you're thirsty, your body wants you to drink. If you're tired, your body wants you to sleep. If you're in danger, your body wants you to run. But your brain it hates open loops, but you've got all these open loops. It's like transportation and the employee handbook. And did you order those? Did you remember to order those science supplies, or did the person who's supposed to order those, did they do it? What about lunch duty and recess duty and all the things? There's a million things. And so sometimes it kind of becomes this amorphous, blurry, overwhelming, huge task list that feels like it's the size of Mount Everest and you're just standing at the bottom of it. And meanwhile, each day, each hour that goes by, you're getting closer to that first day of school. And so I want to give you 3 strategies to help you feel less overwhelmed and to get everything done. Okay? So strategy number 1 is I'm going to help you get super clear on your tasks. So strategy number 1, get super clear on your tasks. And one of the biggest mistakes that we make as private school leaders is that we're trying to manage all of this just kind of like inside of our heads. And I did that for a long time. Let's not do that. Okay, let's not try to figure out what we're going to do next and then look at our big, scary, amorphous, blurry to-do list again later and then try to figure out what we're going to do next. So I'm going to give you a framework. I'm going to give you a plan. And there's a few steps to this plan. And so I don't want you to get overwhelmed by the fact that it's a few steps. I will take care of you in the show notes at theprivateschooleader.com/episode 197. And I'll just spell this out for you so you can just go there and you can have it if you're driving or walking the dog or working out or running errands while you're listening to this. You can't write this down, and so I'll have it for you there in the show notes. So just kind of listen, and I'm going to give you a plan. Okay? We got to get everything out of your brain, and then we're also going to use ChatGPT to help us. So we're going to do a brain dump, and we're going to get that giant, scary to-do list, and we're going to open ChatGPT, and we're just going to start typing. Okay? And maybe you take it, maybe you make a copy of it on the copy machine so that you can like put lines through it and still have your original list, like whatever you want to do. But what you need to do what I'm about to describe to get this brain dump to happen and then to get ChatGPT to help you with a organized timeline with tasks and times next to it and get you, really, really regulated and really effective. All you really need is your big, scary to-do list. Make sure everything's there on it and your computer and open chat. So I just want to say how important it is for you to list everything between today and the first day of school. And that might feel a little overwhelming just doing that, but you have to trust me that we're going somewhere with this, and it's going to be some discomfort right now that will make you feel better for every day between now and the first day of school, or you can just keep swimming in that discomfort all the way up until the first day of school. So I'm just trying to persuade you that even though this is going to sound like a few steps, this is going to help you tremendously. Okay, so we're going to dump everything. We're going to take that big, scary to-do list, and we're just going to start typing everything that we have to do, and that's the big things, the small things, the things at school, even your personal life. And I'm going to give you this prompt, but I'm also going to put this prompt in the show notes. I think I'm also going to put this prompt in the episode description. So you should see that hopefully right under the episode wherever you're listening. But here's the prompt. Quote, this is what you're typing to chat. Please organize these tasks into priority order. Put tasks requiring shipping or delivery near the top. Put tasks requiring responses from other people near the top. Estimate how long each task will take. Then create a daily work schedule between today and the first day of school that will help me finish everything. Okay, that's the prompt. Now, I'm not expecting you to remember that. So like I said, I'll put it in the show notes, but I'll also put it in the episode description. And you could just copy and paste that and put it in there. And so you're putting all these tasks. If you are able to, in parentheses, put like an estimate on how long you think it will take, that's fine. That's great. But if not, let's just let chat decide or estimate how long it will take. Your brain is much better at doing the work than remembering the work and figuring out what to do next. Okay? And I think that's true about almost everybody that's listening to this. Your brain is much better at doing the work, than remembering the work or figuring out what to do next. And so what's going to happen is that if you put all of this stuff in there, and then you put that prompt in there, and you ask chat to give you this, create a daily work schedule, it's going to spit out. And you can also put in there, okay, I have this many weekdays left until the first day of school. Depending on where you are in the country, some of you have only a few and some of you have many more. But then it's going to spit out. It's going to be like, okay, Tuesday. And it's going to just start putting those tasks and it's going to put a limit on that task, and you can it's going to give you clarity, and you're going to know what to do next. And you're like, well, I don't really want chat telling me what to do. Okay, you can keep swimming in that overwhelm and that confusion and the lack of clarity, or you can take all the stuff you need to do the brain dump into chat, put this prompt in there, and then it's going to spit out a timeline for you, a schedule for you. You can even ask it to put it into calendar form, however your brain works. But it's going to spit out something that you could go and print off on your copy machine and then just start putting lines through it as you get done. And you don't have to keep task switching. You don't have to keep trying to figure out what to do next. And you probably heard me say in this prompt, stuff that requires shipping or delivery, put that near the top, and tasks that require responses from other people, put that near the top. Because if you need mulch for the playground, or there's still curriculum that needs to come in, then that's something that needs to happen sooner rather than later, so that the time frame, the runway, is longer to get that stuff to arrive, or to get that stuff from the other person, or for maintenance to order a part or install something. And don't obsess over the time estimates. If you think it takes an hour, write an hour. You don't have to be precise. Close enough is good enough in this case. And so just a quick review on strategy number 1 before we go on to strategy number 2. You're going to take all the stuff that you have to do, and you're going to put it in chat. You're going to put the prompt in chat. Please organize these tasks into priority order. Put tasks requiring shipping or delivery near the top. Put tasks requiring responses from other people near the top. Estimate how long each task will take. Then create a daily work schedule between today and the first day of school that will help me finish everything. And that's what chat's going to print out for you. And then you can tweak it a little bit. Like I said, if you want to give it the total number of weekdays between the day you do this and the first day of school, then or even tell it the dates or whatever, however specific you want to get, it's going to spit out something that you can then just immediately start doing. And that's what I want to help you with. I said the title of this episode is to not feel as overwhelmed and to get everything done. The place where you need to start is to get clear on what to do next. And so this is the way to get there. Okay. Strategy number 2 is to limit interruptions. And so I think that during the last few weeks before the first day of school, that your office at school is probably your least productive workspace on campus. Let me give you that again. I believe that during the last few weeks before school starts, that your office is probably the least productive workspace on campus. And here's why. Because teachers are coming and going. Some teachers are coming in to start getting their rooms ready. And there's an excitement there, especially there's more excitement with the teachers who are voluntarily coming in early. So they're drifting back in. Staff are drifting back in. They haven't seen each other in a couple months. They haven't seen you in a couple months. And for the most part, everybody is polite and everybody is nice. Okay? And so they're going to pop in, right? And they're going to say, how was your summer? Were you guys able to get away? Hey, I've got a quick question for you. And I've been talking to clients over the past week or two, and their number one frustration is that I had one client tell me that she thinks, a client in Georgia, she said that she thinks that she loses about 20 minutes an hour from people popping in. A lot of us suffer from nice guy syndrome or nice gal syndrome. And so of course we're going to be nice. And then we're going to have that same conversation like 15 times or 20 times. And if you're already feeling overwhelmed, I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, yeah, but I don't want to be a jerk. And, these relationships matter and I want to be a nice person and everything. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's true. But if you're already overwhelmed, then constantly being interrupted is going to make the overwhelm feel worse, and there's going to be a little tiny bit of bitterness and resentment that starts to come up because you're earning your Academy Award by being super nice and pretending that you're not super busy so that you can talk to people as they come back, one person at a time. So here is my strong suggestion, my strong recommendation, and that is that you need to hide out. You need to go hide. Like, seriously. Because honestly, my first recommendation is that if you are able and allowed to work remotely for a couple of the days out of the week, and if things are not chaotic in your home and you could be super productive without the interruptions, then that's great. But that's not realistic for a lot of you at this time of year, so I get that. So if you're on campus, then I'm strongly recommending that you hide out. And so I'm super serious about this. So think of the classroom of the teacher who you know is not going to come in before the first teacher workday. Okay, that's the place to start. And then make sure that spot has air conditioning. And then grab your laptop, your water bottle, maybe some protein, a protein bar, maybe your headphones, and just take your stuff and go to that room. And most classrooms have like glass in the door. Position yourself in the room so that you can't be seen from the hallway. Set yourself up and then just get cranking on that list that ChatGPT created. Now, I need you to suspend your disbelief because some of you are like, okay, got it. I'm going to do that starting tomorrow. And some of you are like, ooh, I don't know. I can't. I got to be accessible and available to everybody. Okay. I don't agree with that, especially not at this time of year. And you've got a lot of stuff to do that other people aren't going to do. Okay? And so if you are not a believer, if you right now need some persuasion, then how about you give yourself permission to try this for 90 minutes? You go and you hide out. You do what I said. Go find that room, get set up, not visible from the hallway, etc. Give yourself 90 minutes. Set a timer if you want to. And see how much work you get done in that 90 minutes. You are going to crush it. You are going to crank out work. And then that 90 minutes is going to convince you, you know what, I need to keep doing this. And here's the thing. You might need to keep changing where you hide out because people will find you. And listen, I'm not saying that you do this all school year. I'm not saying that you are never in your office during the school year. I'm saying that if you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed with the amount of tasks that you have left to do, and that first day of school seems to be coming closer and closer, then we need to take action that will fix this problem. And I'm giving you the plan. And the other thing is you close that door. I'm not talking about your office door. I'm talking about your hideout door, okay? You turn off all notifications on your phone other than a text or a phone call, and you just crank out the work. And you're going to be amazed at how much you can accomplish in a short period of time. And I hope that convinces you that you can do this. And I suggest you do it for most of the day, because if people need you, they can text you or whatever, but you're just not going to be in your office with your door open constantly with people popping in all throughout the day between now and the first day of teacher in service. Hey, how you doing? How was your summer? Again and again and again. You can have those brief conversations on the first couple days of teacher in service, and that doesn't make you a jerk to go and get your work done. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more uninterrupted hours in the day. Okay? You don't need more hours in the day. You need more uninterrupted hours in the day. And that's especially true right now. Okay? And then strategy number 3 is to regulate by remembering. Regulate by remembering. And so sometimes I think that the biggest problem when we're feeling this way is not all of the undone tasks, although that's a big part of it. I think that some of it is that we become overwhelmed because our nervous system is becoming dysregulated, because our brain is treating the first day of school like it's a physical threat, because our amygdala doesn't know the difference between a physical threat and a psychological threat. So you've heard me say this before. You're hiking in the woods, and all of a sudden a bear starts chasing you, and you start running the other direction. That is fight or flight kicking in, your amygdala flooding your brain with cortisol and adrenaline so that you can run away from the physical threat and get away from the bear. But the first day of school, getting closer every day, that's a psychological or existential threat. And the amygdala doesn't know the difference. And so that's why we start to feel overwhelmed and anxious and stressed. And so what I titled this strategy is regulate by remembering. I want you to remind yourself in that moment of what things are actually true. Okay? And I'm going to give you a couple of things that are true. Truth number 1, you have always figured it out. You have always figured it out. Every year that you've been a school leader, a principal, a head of school, a division head, whatever, every year you've somehow been ready or ready enough on the first day of school. So that's why I'm saying you need to start remembering. When we feel overwhelmed and all we can see is the task list, we are so much in the moment and so much in the future that we never pause to remember that we've always figured it out every single time. And even if this is your first year as a school leader, private school leader, you've done this before as a teacher. Every single year on the first day of school, you were ready or you were ready enough. And so I want you to regulate by remembering that you've always figured it out. You have a really large body of evidence that you can do this specific thing, that you can get enough done to be ready for the first day of school. And then truth number 2 that I want you to remember is that you don't have to have everything perfect by day 1. Okay? I know that we want to get off to a good start. We want to make sure all the teachers have what they need. We want to make sure that the entryway is clean and that the landscaping around the front entrance looks perfect and all the things. I get that. I totally understand. But what the kids need are caring adults who are prepared to welcome them. They don't need every single thing to be done. And so if the goal is perfection on the morning of the first day of school, you're probably still going to feel overwhelmed. Okay? So we're going to aim high, of course, but it's going to be very, very good, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then the third thing that's true is that you can only do today's work today. You can only do today's work today. And so we get overwhelmed about the number of days between today and that first day of school, and we think about all the tasks, and then we're just stressed about the time frame and all the tasks. But you can't accomplish all of the tasks today. It's like a team that's behind by 29 points in a basketball game. There's no 29-point shot that they can take to tie the game. And so what is the most important thing I need to accomplish right now? Well, that's a hard question unless you have the thing that I gave you in strategy number 1. You have this printout of all your tasks with a time next to it, and you're just going to keep hammering away on that. So strategy number 1 is to get super clear on your tasks and use that prompt. Strategy number 2 is to limit interruptions, because now you have the clarity, but you're going to get less work done and you're going to be more frustrated if you are constantly being interrupted. And there are way more interruptions from well-meaning teachers and staff that just want to say hi, and I get that, but you need more uninterrupted hours in your day to be able to get this done and feel less overwhelmed. And then strategy number 3 is to regulate by remembering. As you remember that you've always figured it out and you've always been ready or almost ready, that will help regulate you that you can do this again. And your call to action for today's episode is to just pick one of these strategies and try it this week. And if you're not sure which one to pick, I suggest you pick strategy number 1, is to get clarity around those tasks by putting it into ChatGPT with that prompt and having it crank out something for you that you can just do. You don't have to think, you can just do. And so as we wrap it up, I just want to remind you that there's a free gift waiting for you at theprivateschoolleader.com/meeting. And that's a guide called The 7 Steps to Having Successful Meetings with Upset Parents. I'd love for you to grab that. And a final reminder that Private School Teacher Academy is at theprivateschoolleader.com/teacher. And again, that's the 4 on-demand video webinars with guided notes and discussion questions and teacher resources that you could incorporate in Teacher in Service, because that's probably on your list right now, right? And so I want to help you out with that. privateschoolleader.com/teacher. And if you get value from the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email at mark.o.minkus@gmail.com. And if you get help from the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you would share this with another leader that you know, or maybe a rising leader at your school. And I've been your host, Mark Minkus. I just want to say that I appreciate you and all your hard work, especially during the summer. Thank you so much for taking some of your precious time to join me here today. And I'll see you next time right here on the Private School Leader Podcast. And until then, always remember to serve first, lead second, and make a difference.